everybody, and Happy New Year or Feliz Año Nuevo from Food Literacy Center. And today we are making homemade corn tortillas. Now, you might be thinking that it's easy just to go to the store and buy some tortillas, but it's just as easy to make them at home. You only need 3 simple ingredients, and I'm going to be here to show you how you can make them. Like always, you can go to foodliteracycenter.org and you can print out our supply list and our recipe for our homemade corn tortillas. And some of the things you're going to need today is a large mixing bowl, a spoon, measuring cups, measuring spoons. You're also going to want either a tortilla press or a large pan. And today we're also making our broccoli potato taco. We're going to be filling our fresh homemade tortillas with broccoli potato taco. So we just made that on the side. And some of the hot items for adults is we're going to be using a hot pan and also a way to warm up water. You can make it in the microwave, or you can do it on the stovetop or in a kettle. You just want warm, not boiling water. And our ingredients, we just need 3 simple ingredients in our recipe, and that is going to be harina or masa. It's corn flour, and if you go to the grocery store, this is usually what it looks like here. And so that's our first ingredient. Our second ingredient is salt, just a little bit of salt for seasoning, and then our warm water. So that's all we need to get started. We are going to be using our hands, so be sure you wash your hands for at least 20 seconds with warm soap and water. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to do with our recipe is we're going to need 2 cups of the masa flour. So I already have 2 cups here, and for kids at home, that is our largest measuring cup. That you're going to need 2 cups of the harina flour. And let's see how much salt we're going to need, because we're going to mix our dry ingredients first. So it looks like we need half a teaspoon of salt. I'm going to look at my measuring spoons. I have a teaspoon here, and here is my half teaspoon. I have my salt. And I'm just going to sprinkle it over, and I'm going to mix it with a fork. And this is just to add a little bit of flavoring. You really don't need much for these tortillas. So just gonna mix my dry ingredients. Now, the trickiest part is adding the water. Again, I wanna emphasize, one second, my throat. Sorry about that, I got a little tickle in my throat. Keep my water on hand. Okay, so the water is the most trickiest part. We need 2 cups of, or 1.5 cups of warm water. So I've warmed up some water on the stove right here. I'm gonna place on the side. So parents, you wanna warm up some water, not to the point where it's boiling, but the instructions say very warm water. So I'm gonna take 1 cup first. We need 1.5 cups. So my 1 cup here, and I'm gonna take a fork and I'm gonna slowly add it to the masa flour. And I'm gonna be just mixing around, making sure I can coat all the masa. You don't want your masa to be too runny, and you don't want it to be too dry. If it's too dry, it'll fall apart. And if it's too runny, it'll get sticky and you won't really be able to form a masa ball or a tortilla. So I'm just going to add my 1 cup first. And then I'm gonna add, I need 1.5 cups, and I'm gonna add 1/4 cup because I just want to slowly add my water so that I get the right amount. Instead of adding a full 1/2 cup, it might be too much, just depends. Or if you need a little bit extra, it's nice to have either a tablespoon or a small measuring cup on hand. That way you can slowly add a little bit of water if you need. So you can see our first steps is our masa is kind of clumping up. And I want to get as much of as my masa clumped up as I can. And then I'm going to go in with my hands. So I'm going to add a 1/4 cup more. Use my fork. And this is really the time where I'm going to use my hands, because your hands are really going to tell you if you've reached the consistency that you want. So I'm going to go in with my clean hand. I'm going to kind of just press everything down, and I'm going to start kneading it just a little bit. You're not going to knead it like you do flour, but you just want to make sure your masa is going to form a nice round ball of masa. So I can tell that I'm going to need just a little bit more water. I'm going to take my 1/4 cup and I'm just going to maybe do a tablespoon. And that's what you want to do. You just want to slowly add the water, because if you add too much, then you'll have to add a little bit more masa, and then you'll add a little bit more water, and then you go back and forth. So kids, this is the fun part. Get your hands in there. As you can see, it's starting to clump up. I can kind of form it into a ball. I might just need a little bit more. And you really want to make sure, again, it's warm water. You don't want to add cold water. And if you add water that's too hot, it might start cooking the masa, or it might be hard on your hands. So I'm going to add about another tablespoon of water. Being very careful that I don't add too much water. Okay, and I can start picking it up. And this is where you can feel if you need a little bit more water. Sometimes it's just the tiniest amount that you might need. I am actually going to add just a bit more. I'm going to make a little kind of ball in here. So you're really just going to want to use your hands, and that's going to tell you. We're really reaching the point where this is the consistency that you want. You're able to handle it with your hands. It's not sticking to your hands, and it's sticking together. So here we go. So I'm actually going to make the tortillas 2 ways. I'm actually going to make them 3 ways. So we're going to go here, and our next instructions are to cover this and put it in the fridge for about an hour. So I've gone and done that, and I'm just going to swap these out. I have a little bowl here. We'll place this in the fridge for about an hour, and when you take it out of the fridge, it'll be cooled down and it'll be very doughy, so you know that you're going to be able to form your tortilla rounds and make your tortillas. I'm going to clear off my space here, and I have a towel because if you're mixing with your hands, it will be messy. So I have a nice kind of a little bit of a damp towel that helps get all the extra flour and bits off my hand. So our next instructions are to break this up into golf ball size, a little bit bigger than a golf ball. So I'm going to take just a little chunk, and this is what you want. You want to really be able to work the little bit of masa. Once you've gotten to this point, it's smooth sailing. Just going to make a few rounds so you guys can kind of see. I'm going to make 2 different tortillas, and I'm going to start preheating my pan. I'm going to turn it on. It'll preheat. Here we go. I'll make another one here. Just want to rip chunks off. I'm putting them between my palms and moving in a circular motion so I can get a nice little round shape. One of the coolest things we can use when we're making tortillas is a tortilla press. And you're going to want to put cling wrap on this so your tortilla does not stick. I'm going to turn this around. Have a little bit of cling wrap on here. And these are great because this is really heavy. It's going to help push down our rolled up masa and form a nice round tortilla disc. So I'm placing this just right in the middle. I'm going to cover it again with the saran wrap. I'm going to place this down, and it has a nice little handle so I can slowly press down. And it's going to make that nice thin tortilla size that we're looking for. You can check it and see if you want more. Now, you might end up with a tortilla that looks a little bit like this. Maybe it's not completely round. If you have a little spot missing, you can press it out with your fingers, but really, it doesn't matter because it's still gonna make a great tortilla and it's still gonna taste great. So we have a nice round. It has a little chunk missing there from when we were mixing it. It might just be from the saran wrap, but I'm gonna go ahead and place this in my warm pan. And this pan is a little bit deep because I'm using an induction burner, but if you have a flat pan at home or a large frying pan, or even if you have a comal, if you know what a comal is, it's a nice flat skillet size. It's a skillet, kind of a flat skillet where you can cook the tortillas on and get a nice flavor. So we have this tortilla. Now, if you don't have a tortilla press, don't worry. I'm gonna steal our saran wrap that we have here. And you can make a tortilla different ways. You might be able to use a rolling pin, but I'm gonna show you a trick that you can do just with another pan. So I'm gonna take my round tortilla masa ball. Like I said, once you have the masa made, it's smooth sailing from there, and you can be creative and you can find different ways to make your tortilla. So I'm gonna put this here. I want enough room around my saran wrap so that the tortilla can expand. And I'm gonna take a pan and I'm just going to use the force of my body and press down, and we're gonna get the same result. And you can use a larger frying pan. This is just the one that I have on hand. And I'm just gonna press down. You might wanna press down for about 5 seconds. And we have a bit of a thicker tortilla. So I'm just gonna go in again and press down and see what we can do. And again, you can use a rolling pin. Great. So you can see that the tortilla press was really made for the tortilla, made a nice flat round tortilla, but here it's a little bit smaller, but it's a nice shape. It's even on all sides, and I'm gonna add this to our pan. Now I'm gonna add it with my hands, but I also have a spatula here if you don't wanna go in with your hands and flip. I'm gonna do the first flip on this first one. It's already starting to get a little brown on the ends, and I like my tortillas cooked thoroughly, so I like them even with a little chard on them. So you can keep going. This recipe makes about 12 tortillas, and I'm going to show you another way you can make tortillas. So we're going to go back to the masa that we made, and this is a bit of a thicker tortilla. It's a bit of a Salvadorian style, and you make it thick and you use it when it's still warm, so you don't need to put it in the fridge. And we're gonna take a little bit bigger than our golf ball size round, just a slightly bit bigger than a golf ball. And we're gonna do our rolling. We're gonna put it between our hands, move in a circular motion to get a nice round ball of masa. And I'm going to press down just with my palms and use the bottom of my palm and my thumb and my fingers to kind of just stretch it around. Now, these are Salvadorian style because they're a bit thicker. They're not as big and flat. They're a little bit more round and chunky, and you can use them when you are eating soup. It's really kind of a nice thick tortilla that you can use to dip. You can put stuff on top of it because it's nice. It has a nice base to it. So here's my tortilla. I'm going to make it just a little bit bigger. And if you want a bigger tortilla, you just need to grab a little bit more masa. So I'm just using the bottom of my pan and the bottom of my hand and my fingers and turning this. I'm turning it counterclockwise. We can go clockwise. I'm just turning it in circles and slowly stretching it out. I'm not really trying to get a thin version. And this is as big as I want my tortilla. And you can see it's a nice thick. And once it cooks, you're going to open it up and it's going to be nice and warm inside. So let's see how our tortillas are doing. You can flip them. I like to flip them with my hand, but be safe and use a spatula. I'm going to add this one here, and we're going to see our different tortillas. And that's all that you need to make fresh corn tortillas at home. It's really that simple. And you can get really creative with it. You can make the masa ahead of time, have your kids roll out the tortillas, and all parts of making homemade tortillas are fun. I'm going to wrap the remaining of my masa into the cling wrap. I'm going to wrap it in here, and then I can store this in the fridge if I want to make the tortillas later. So I'm going to move that aside because we're getting ready to make our tacos. And I already made one tortilla earlier. And as you can see, I like them with those little charred bits. So you'll see as you're making your tortillas, they start to puff up a little bit, the thinner ones. And that's a good sign too that you're cooking your tortilla all the way through. And you do want to make sure you are cooking your tortilla all the way through because we are using the raw masa. You want to make sure you get it cooked all the way. So my first tortilla, the biggest one, is just about done. It looks like it has a bite already taken out of it, but as you can see, it's already a little bit browned on both sides. So I'm going to take it. I have a spoon here with our broccoli potato taco mix. And you can get this recipe. We have a video for it too. You can get this recipe on our website. And it's just broccoli, potato. We have some garlic and some other seasonings in here. It's such a great recipe. This recipe was made by students at Pacific Elementary. I'm going to top it off with a little bit of Tortilla cheese. And I have a nice fresh lime here. I'm excited. It smells good. It's gonna be great because everything is fresh. We just made it. You wanna add a little bit of hot sauce, you can, but we have our broccoli potato taco in here. As you can see, it's a nice tortilla size for a taco. What a difference. What a difference making a fresh tortilla makes. Let's check on our other ones. Let's see my spatula. So here we have the tortilla that we made with the pan. It's a little bit thicker, so it's gonna require a little bit more time. And we have our thicker, more Salvadorian style tortilla here, and you can see it's thicker, it's starting to brown. This one will take another minute or two to fully cook all the way, but you just want to make sure you cook them until they're done. And this is just such a great way if you have potatoes, broccoli, some masa flour at home. You can make this recipe and it's so good for lunch, dinner. We're getting our veggies in and we're making something fresh and homemade. I hope you guys get to try this recipe at home. Thank you for joining me today. Next week we're going to make black bean puree, and we're also going to be recycling some of our tortillas. We're going to be making some more and eating our black bean puree with some fresh homemade tortillas. Thank you so much for joining me today. Keep you updated on the progress. We have our tortillas here that are done. And we'll see you guys next week.